tuned. The stream is about to begin.
Man, oh man, can you imagine if we had a nickel for every time one of our students said, and the quote says we could retire early. But I got our backs because we're not going to get rich. I have 10 frames that are going to help our kids, seamlessly embed their quotes. I'll walk you through the whole thing. I have 3 exemplars for each frame, so I'll Bob Ross the whole thing for you from start to finish. Sit in, strap up, stay tuned, and I'll walk you through it. All right, my sports fans. So just so that you know, down below in the video's description, all the slides that are forthcoming are free for the download. So just go down beneath the video. There's the descriptors there with my email and all the hashtags and stuff. It is conveniently located for you right down there. So free for the taking. So as advertised, I'm going to talk about 10 dynamic frames that get our kids away from saying, and the quote says. And as always, for those of you that are familiar with my work, I'm going to Bob Ross this for you. So usually I find the magic number's 3. If I show a student how to do something 3 times, it tends to solidify a little bit more and demystify the process. So here's frame number 1. The ellipses split, and I gave names to all of these, so hopefully the nomenclature will resonate true for our students. So the ellipses split uses ellipses to trim or shape a quote, and I got 3 of them for us here. So Gatsby insists, you can't repeat the past. Why, of course you can. The pause revealing his denial. So you can see there, you take 2 quotes, you split them at the seams, and then you can join them with the ellipses. That's something I don't see my struggling, emerging young writers do enough. It needs some practice, but it can be done. Here's another one. Douglas argues that power concedes nothing. It never did and it never will, compressing his warning into a timeless truth, right? And then I got a Hamlet one for us here. Hamlet admits, man delights not me, nor women neither, the ellipses capturing his exhaustion. So I won't go through all 10 of these with you guys. You can kind of see them on your own, and you guys are quote masters, and just got some examples here for you. So this one's the double quotes in a single sentence. So using this first one here with Scout, To Kill a Mockingbird. Scout recalls that Atticus was right, just as Jem insists it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, aligning innocence with justice. So you just take 2 quotes and fuse it into the fabric of one sentence. Here's one more. Winston claims, we shall meet in the place where there is no darkness, while O'Brien ominously assures the object of power is power, highlighting Orwell's bleak cycle. So that's pretty skillful when kids can do that. And you might be asking, Kristian, how do I get my kids to do this? I have that really nifty annotation exercise, the Amazon shopping cart exercise, that segues and kind of builds upon how annotations can lead to these quote frames. Here's number 3, complex transition with commentary. This one's a little tricky, so let me explain it. Oftentimes I ask my students to use 5 words in front of the quote. So not exactly 5, but a minimum of 5 words in front of the quote so that they have a transition. And then, we'll just check it out here. Without hesitation, Emerson contends that a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, pushing readers toward intellectual courage. So you can see if you just place 5 words in front of the quote and get rid of that, and the quote says, you could have a pretty seamless transition. In striking terms, King warns that the appalling silence of the good people often outweighs outright evil. And the last one, by all accounts, Dickinson insists that hope is the thing with feathers, elevating resilience to a universal metaphor. The other thing, too, that I want my kids to get away from is the tendency is to always end the sentence with the quote. And sometimes you can have your textual analysis, within that line where your textual support is. I think that's really skillful when kids can do that. So number 4 is embedding with an appositive. I'm not going to read everything. You guys can look at that and figure it out. But it's quote dropped in a renaming device, embedding with an appositive. So you probably got to go over what an appositive is with the kids. Number 5 is the single ellipses. 6 is the parallel integration. I really like this, 2 ideas placed in balance. So my students are familiar with this because I explicitly teach sentence patterns and sentence types. So it builds upon those exercises, and I got a glut of those in my YouTube channel. Number 7 is the contrastive transition, using things like yet, while, although. So again, you can see big overlap with my sentence patterning exercises. Number 8, the split emphasis with ellipses inside. And number 9, cause and effect framing. I'll show you this because this is pretty cool, where you use like because or since to frame. And oftentimes students are like, you can't begin a sentence with because, Mr. Kuhn. And I'm like, oh, yes, you can. Check this out. Because Orwell declares, Big Brother's watching you, citizens surrender privacy in exchange for survival. Since Creon insists the city is the king's, Antigone's resistance becomes inevitable. Because Scout realized Atticus was right, her childhood innocence matures into moral clarity. And lastly, number 10, synthesis with external voice. And this one's pretty cool, when you split 2 voices and braid them together. Just as Angelou insists, still I rise, Morrison reminds us that definitions belong to the definers, merging defiance with control. Just as Jefferson asserts that all men are created equal, Douglas warns that the sunlight that brought life and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me, exposing hypocrisy. So sometimes when you have multiple text, you can use this. So I teach AP Lang, and this is a sentence frame that I really think is beautiful for synthesis when you're combining sources. I'm always asking my kids to get the sources to talk with each other and kind of have conversation. And this is one that for FRQ1, the synthesis paper in AP Lang, I require my kids to do this at least once in their essay. And I find it adds a nice layer of complexity. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and want to reach out to me, you can give me an email at writeitivyright@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to field it. So I'll keep them coming in the days, weeks, months, years coming ahead of us, and hopefully this helps you out with teaching smoother quote transitions than "and the quote says." So take care for now.